What is going on, guys? Welcome back to DotaFanTV, and today we will be looking at a relatively special video. We will be looking at the stats and numbers of heroes that are played in the recent AniMajor. We have 5 days of data and almost 80 games, I think 79 in total. 2 days from the wildcard, 3 days from the group stage, a total of 79 games. And from this sample size, we want to know which hero have the best win rate, highest pick rate, or which hero are not very viable and why is it so. So without further ado, let's go. So for us to understand which hero do well and which hero doesn't do well and why is it like that, the first thing we will look at is the overall meta at the moment, or at least at this particular major from the games that we have watched so far. We see that actually the games, right, the pace are very mid-game focused. If you look at the stats, right, over here, we can see these are the match length, right, less than 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, 30 to 40, and so on and so forth. If we scroll all the way down on the Wikipedia stats page, we can see that the distribution of the game across different time. And you will notice that, most of them are actually falling between these two categories, 34 games and 23 games, which are, if you go all the way up, is the 30 minute to 40 minute and 40 to 50 minutes mark. These are still considered mid-game because if you think about it, this is the time where the game ends. So the decisive moment should happen like slightly earlier than that, so which is around like maybe 30 to 40 minutes where or maybe like around 30 minutes ish is where a lot of the important things happen and eventually lead to the eventual end of a game between these two moments. I think it's fair to say game usually don't go late anymore, at least for this particular meta, or at least at this particular moment, because we can see from 50 to 60 minutes and 60 and more than 60 minutes, right, if we scroll all the way down, there's only 5 games, 5 out of 79. That is about like less than 10%. There's like what, 7% ish. So just to tell you that the game at the moment focus really a lot on the mid game, around 30-minute mark, or maybe just after 20 minutes after the laning stage. And besides that, the hero that we are looking at that do well especially are also those that emphasize a lot on team fights and making move after the laning stage. So this is maybe around maybe 10 minutes mark, you can see will start rotating. And this is not just limited to your support. Some of the core as well, we can see that start making move in the mid game. Maybe you have like maybe for core, for support a bit earlier, pre like 10 minutes mark. So you see a lot of hero that are very active is like Lion, or what else we have? You have Lion, or you have hero like Park that like to rotate, your Willow, your Nyx Assassin, so on and so forth. So these are the hero that they pick and kind of do pretty well. Okay, and then moving on, we are passive hero that play for the late game, right, have little to no mid game impact and they usually lose. These are hero like if you talk about Phantom Lancer, for example, PL, right, you can see there are 8 games played and the total win rate is only 25%, right? And then you have your PA, 5 game played, relatively low gameplay, but only 20% win rate. And the fact that people are not even picking this hero as often, it kind of tell you the reason behind it, because this hero doesn't do much in the early to mid game, like they just AFK farm. That's the nature of the hero. But having to say that, the meta at the moment are moving towards where you need to start coming out to fight and have impact in the mid game. And PL is just not that kind of hero, right? And another one that we can maybe look at is Naga Siren. I think it was Artizi is one of those heroes that play a lot of this hero, right? And you expect whenever he play to have a certain high win rate. And the fact that I think he played, I think 2 out of these 3 games are from EG Artizi. So 2 out of 3, these 3 games are from him, and I think did he even win one? He win one and they didn't manage to win the other one. This hero just need too many items, maybe 3 or 4 items to hit that power spike and be the hero that nobody can touch. It doesn't really fit into the meta right now. Another one I can think of is maybe Medusa. Do we have it? Yes, we have. Also 33% win rate, but be it that the pick rate is still very low. But looking at how the games go, where hardly any game go past 50-60 minutes, and most of the chaotic things would happen like between maybe around 30 minutes mark, 20-30 mark, we'll be deciding the game. And if it doesn't come online at the time, it's just very difficult for you and your team. Moving on, lastly, I think a lot of them also emphasize on picking cores that do well in lane, or maybe at least don't get crushed and will be able to be active in the mid game. So earlier I mentioned maybe Medusa and all those things, those are really passive. But at the same time, you can see a shift towards hero. I think Puck has been popular for most of the time. Having said that, right, China is one of those regions that doesn't play a lot of Puck. But when they come into this competition, this major, you can start seeing them picking a lot of Pucks. VG Gaming, I'm sure there's a lot others, but you know, in Liquid Media they're only showing 5. What else? What other hero that's really active? For example, Faces Void. You know, the kind of core that won't get crushed in lane because you got some sustain in the lane. You see a lot of people picking Morphling as well, but the win rate for Morphling is quite bad. I think simply because, you know, off lane these days know how to pick a hero, to play around this hero. The off lane these days are also very active. So if you pick Morphling and you know, if your support is not strong as well, it's very easy to get crushed. You have Ursa as well. So Ursa is also that kind of hero that want to play active, at least in the current meta, the way that you build Diffusal and all those things. Okay, right now we can take a look at the hero with the highest win rate. I filter it with, you know, for hero only with at least 15 games played. You know, you don't want to look at people with 100% win rate but only play 3 games. That kind of, I think AniMajor is that hero that play 3 games 100% win rate. Those have too little of a sample size. We're going to look at hero that was played at least 15 games. Okay, so the first on top of the chart, right, is Dragon Knight. We have Dragon Knight with 71% win rate. Your next Assassin 67, Phoenix, TA, and so on and so on. So looking at this list, right, you realize that they have at least one of these traits in common, right? Number one would be mid-game focused hero. So if you look at DK, what do you think? You think about, you know, getting an early tower, map control. Whenever your dragon is, you have your ultimate off cooldown, you want to be active and try to hunt down hero, or maybe at least, you know, control the map because you're strong. And you have your next Assassin, who is also a very mid-game, like to hunt, like to go around and kill hero, very active kind of hero, right? Or you have your TA, also a very mid-game focused kind of hero. Ursa, Puck, these two I think I've mentioned earlier, but like how they are played very active these days. And then you would at least have one strong team fight spell, and this, you know, look no further than Magnus, and then your Faces Void, your Mars, especially low cooldown, especially from Mars. That's why you have the highest pick rate in the entire competition, 39. It's usually first phase pick as well. First phase pick as well. And despite that, you still have a 56% win rate. That's actually really, really crazy. And then I think you have your Winter Wyvern as well. Is it here? Okay, maybe it's not among the top win rate, but it's picked very, very often as well. Winter Wyvern had very, very good team fight spell with the Winter Curse. And then last but not least, hero that don't do too poorly in lanes. I think I've highlighted a little bit. We have Faces Void, and then, you know, hero that obviously apply pressure in lane as well, like Enchantress. Your Puck, usually you won't go too bad in the lane. You are able to come back even when things doesn't go right. Your Magnus, you have some kind of farm capability to make you come back very quickly into the mid game. And then you have TA as well, able to take Ancient and come back in the mid game. Alright, right now we can look at the hero with very, very low win rate, with at least 8 games played, and I filtered out anyone with less than 40% win rate, right? So from here we can see, actually a little bit surprising when I see the first name, which is Void Spirit. Only 1 win and 7 losses and 13% win rate only for this hero. And it kind of surprised me because it still fits in a lot of the criteria that we said earlier, where this hero can be very active on the map, they get killed, focus on mid game. Yeah, it operates a lot like a Puck as well. It's not easy to kill, very elusive, you know, he can escape. But having to say that, it's only 8 games played so far, I still think there are a lot of situations where Void Spirit is a very viable hero. Yeah, a little bit surprised on that one. But the second name in this list is a Tiny. I don't think I'm very surprised by Tiny, because the issue with this hero is that if you play it as a core, you play it as a mid, right? It is still relatively viable, I think. But a lot of the time we see teams pick this hero as a support. And when you pick this hero as a support, right, the problem with it is you would always need space to farm and get your dagger to be able to, do something in the map and start combo and start killing people. But the game pace is so fast right now, your core are probably the one that needs to be prioritized in terms of farm. And for you to, be taking farm is just not very efficient for the team. And that is why you see it's a very awkward place for Tiny right now in this meta. So they have way more losses than wins, 4-14. I think it's very similar to when you look at Earthshaker. Like, one of the reasons Earthshaker is not picked at the moment is because this hero need time to farm and get his dagger, to get the echo, great echo or whatever. But the fact that game are so fast at the moment, if you give space for your Earthshaker to farm, right, and come out with a dagger, by the time you go to mid game, your core might be under farm because you have given the extra space to your post 4. So that is why I kind of felt like, Earthshaker is not even picked one time in almost 80 games. It's quite crazy. I don't think I've ever seen this before, because the hero, the nature of the design, right, is really good. But yeah. Okay, moving on, we have Bristol Vac sitting on only 25% win rate. I would expect this hero to do a little bit better, if I'm honest, because looking at the DPC season, usually they just build Vanguard, they build Hood, and then they become unkillable. But I guess part of the reason is also because it got nerfed, after the DPC season is over, the hero got nerfed. The axe, I think the cooldown of your quill or one of the skill is a bit longer right now, so it's not as abusable. So I think only very specific situation you can have a Bristol Bag in a team, because this hero also take a little bit time to come online. Sometimes it's not very active. And PL I've already highlighted earlier, where this hero needed a bit more time to come online. And then next we have Clockwork. Actually, this Clockwork is quite a big surprise looking at the win rate, only 33%. Similar to Void Spirit, where I think this hero kind of fit into the meta of playing very active, hunting around, even with very low, not a lot of net worth, you are able to be active, but only 33% win rate. I guess part of the reason is also because this hero could be popular for certain teams that wasn't performing as well as a team, so kind of bring down the overall win rate a little bit. Morphling, previously I've already highlighted, where I think a lot of the current offlane deals with the Morphling very well. The current offlane are usually very active and apply a lot of pressure in the lane. So as a Morphling, you just struggle to be efficient and be able to dominate the lane. And then next we have Darkseer. I think Darkseer is another one where the win rate is kind of low, 38%, but I felt like, it's not too bad at the moment. It's still playable. You have strong team fight. But I guess in the lane sometimes a lot of teams know how to draft and play around the Darkseer. So that is the not so good part, where you lose out in lane if you have to kind of play a catch-up game afterwards, although you have good team fight. Warlock as well, I guess in a team fight you are fantastic, you have a good ulti, but I guess this hero I'm not the kind of hero that would want to play active, right? If you play a Winter Wyvern, for example, you have the ulti, but your ulti have much lower cooldown than the Warlock ulti. You can be more active, you can nuke the wave, and so on and so forth. So I felt like, Warlock kind of makes sense to be in this position. Needed a little bit more buff to make this hero viable. Alright, let's take a very, very quick look at the Unplayed Heroes. There are a bunch of them. How many of these total? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 24, 25 to 26 of them are unplayed at the moment. Having to say that, I think some of them kind of make sense, like why they're not being picked at all. I mean, Dawnbreaker is not even in the freaking patch, but this is on the Liquipedia page. But hero like Brewmaster, Klings, Pudge, Silencer, Sniper, Tekis, even Tinker, they are just, even Alchemist, I don't know if I mentioned it already, they are too situational that you would expect, this hero at this moment only specific game you're allowed to pick this hero. Is very memey as well, so kind of makes sense that we haven't seen them getting picked. Some of these heroes are also too weak in my opinion. After they nerf it, Keeper of the Light, for example, Venge, Weaver, just too, or even Zeus, it's not very active, too weak for this particular meta. Weaver obviously got nerfed. Venge, after they rework, it's not really viable anymore. Tinker, I said it already, very specific situation. But there are a few heroes which I think I'll be surprised by the end of the entire major that is not going to be picked at all. Simply because I think they are just mislooked by the team. They are good, but the team just have not seen them yet. I think first of all would be Nature Prophet. This hero can be very active on map. He dominates the lane. He can play very fast pace. He can take tower. He can play on different part of the map, or his team play on a different side. He can split push. He has a ulti that deals quite a lot of damage in a team fight. And yeah, I think this hero would be viable, especially in the right player, with the right player playing it, like Mind Control. His iconic Nature's Prophet. So I will be surprised if by the end of a major this hero is not picked. Second one would be Spirit Breaker. I think what lack a little bit, just a little bit in Spirit Breaker gameplay is in terms of team fight. So like we mentioned, like a lot of these games are very team fight oriented one, right? And Spirit Breaker in team fight is sometimes it's a bit hit or miss. Like if you can get one charge off and you run through 3 or 4 hero, of course it's fantastic. But if you couldn't do that, then maybe you are a bit lackluster in a team fight. But having to say that, this hero is strive quite well in terms of a chaotic situation, right? And this hero also is very active when it comes to early and mid game, and can create a lot of play. So I think this hero, again, I think will be picked by the end of a major. The next one would be Undying, right? This is the last one. Not last one, I have another one. In terms of Undying, I think this hero dominates lane. You have a very good team fight spell. You have the Tombstone, and I don't see I don't see how you cannot pick it in the right situation, right? If you can dominate lane and all those things. But one thing that is lacking from this hero is obviously the lockdown. But seeing how games are being played at the moment, I think there is a spot for Undying. There will be some games that we will see Undying in this specific major. And one last one is actually Enigma. I know this hero got nerfed. You can only most of the time play him as a core, but we have seen Liquid play it during the DPC as a position 4. I know Liquid is not doing so hot at the moment, but I think Enigma at that time, Liquid at that time was one of the top team in EU, and they played Enigma as a position 4 on Tiger. Kind of a hybrid position 3, position 4 kind of thing, but he's managed to make it work. And I think in that sense, right, there is a specific game or moment that Enigma is suitable, and it's a bit surprising that even after 79 games that this hero is not picked at all. If you ask me which is the biggest surprise among all the heroes, I would say Enigma is the one that I expect the least to be on this particular list. Okay, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.